Okay, so the final video in this series is what to do when the master dies. And so it really depends on your environment as to how you have things set up. But assuming that a web store has a line in it that is telling it to communicate with the database server that is sitting on IP address 135 or 133 in our case, and that server stops responding, and we try to get the server back up, our whole website is down, we can't get the thing going again, and so we need to activate that clone as quickly as possible so that we can get the website back up, and then we'll deal with the master database afterwards. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to jump on the clone server, and so we're going to log into MySQL on that clone. And so we'll go ahead and do this. This is when you're all stressed out and can't remember your own password is when this happens. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to type stop slave. And so what we have just done is we've told this slave database to stop communicating with the master server. The reason that we want to make sure we do this is because we don't want that master server now to come back up and all of a sudden the slave is still trying to replicate from it, and at the same time we're also treating the slave as the master. And so we want to make sure that we have stopped that slave. That disconnects this database from the other database. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our text file, into our configuration file, and we're going to tell the web server or whatever it is, our application, whatever it happens to be, to stop communicating with the 133 and to start communicating with the 135. That literally is all that we have to do. The entire website will come back up. And now we no longer have a master and slave database situation. We now have a single master that used to be the slave, and the master database is down, is done. Whatever the problem with it is has to be figured out. Now, the only last step to this is that at some point you're going to want to repeat this process. I don't want to leave the slave as being the master and never have another slave for it. I want to create a new slave to now replicate itself from the new master. Or maybe I want to literally get the master database up and make it the master database again. Well, at that point you need to go back to video 2 in the series, and you'll have to go to the slave database. Depending on how you want to work this, you either set up a new slave if the slave database is powerful enough to just become the master forever. Then you'd set up a new database and go through the whole video 2 process to set up another replication server. In the case that I want to bring master back up and make it the master again, I'm really going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go over to the slave, export the databases off of it, lock the database so nobody can put any more data in it. Then I'm going to copy it over to the master, restore everything onto the master, change our web scripts around so that they're now pointing back at 133 instead of 135. And then we're going to go back to the clone and we're going to reactivate it following what the master is. Now, at that point, you will need to go back, as we stated in video 2, you'll need to go back and do a show master status. Once you get everything uploaded back into the master, we need to lock those databases temporarily, get show master status, come back over to DB3, I mean the old clone that we're fixing to make the slave again, come back over to it, and if you remember in toward the end of the second video, I showed you the inside of the file where it actually, I don't know if I still have it up here, but right here where it says change master to master log equals, well, you're going to type this command into the MySQL prompt, except you're going to replace the MySQL bin with whatever the bin file is and the master log position to whatever the master log position is on the master server, and then start clone again or start slave again, and now the old slave becomes the slave again, and master becomes master again. So a couple different scenarios there. Hopefully it didn't get too confusing, but It's pretty simple. You just have to decide, do we want to leave the slave being the master from now on and create a new slave, which in that case you'll do exactly what was in the second video. Or if you want to reactivate master, it's a little bit more work because we've got to make sure that we restore everything back over to master. You don't really have to do anything on master because all of the user accounts and all, you know, there's one thing that I do want to mention. If you had to reinstall the entire MySQL server, then you won't have that replicator user account that we had created in the first video. And so you will need to go back to the first video in that case and recreate the replicator account so that it is there, because the slave needs it to be able to talk to it. So you'll go through the first video to reset up that master computer, restore the data, lock the tables, get your log and min file information, then come back over to the slave and reactivate it. And then you should be up and going with the whatever configuration you'd like to have.